don't think I need
Better
this.
watch out on the news media today. Work out, Cliff. Yeah.
Want it to work and it doesn't. I have a black shirt on.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, and I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Before we get to agenda items, Ms. Michael can't be with us tonight. Could somebody offer a motion to excuse her?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We also have some adjustments to the agenda. So, number 5, Chelsea wasn't quite sure what to do about that. I reviewed last week's meeting video, and Mr. Harper, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Streets and Sidewalk Committee decided not to pursue a veto or overturning the mayor's veto. And you wanted time to talk to the mayor when he comes back from his vacation before offering a new ordinance. Is that the understanding? In other words, there's nothing to move tonight onto the July meeting.
That's how the discussion is, correct?
Okay, is that still the case? Everyone still on board with that? Then let's strike number 5 from the agenda, since there's nothing to discuss there. In addition, we have 2 other ordinances that we'll need to vote on in July. One is, we finally got the RLF administration agreement, so we'll add that to the agenda, an ordinance to approve that. And then finally, we met on Friday. The Tax Commission met to talk about the 2025 tax budget, which needs to be approved in the July meeting as well, because it has to go to the county in July, correct, Tammy?
Correct,
Okay.
by July 20th.
So we're going to add that to the agenda as well. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, then let's get started. The first item is approval of the Committee of the Whole meetings of May 20th. You should all have gotten those in your packet. Does anybody have any changes or additions to those meetings? Do we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to apply for and accept the Ohio Ambulance Program grant. Is this what we got today, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, I think,
Yes, I sent out that 2-page application from Mark.
okay. So this is from Public Health and Safety. Ms. Michael can't be here tonight, but we talked about this. Chief, do you have anything you want to say about the grant application?
Yes, I'm not, I apologize, I wasn't here last Monday. So part of the grant is a retention, and the second part of the grant would be for a cost recovery for new hires that we hired within that 4-year window, in addition to the personnel that we have. So the retention was 21,500. I'm sorry, 31,500. And then the cost recovery was an additional 20,000.
Right.
So the total grant was 51,500.
And I think if I remember, there was just the, is it PRS or the retirement component that
We would
needed?
have to do the pension
Yeah. But you
That's
thought
correct.
that might not really amount to a great,
If we get the grant, it'll be $7,560 would be our pension employer portion to match. But then a portion of this grant is going to be a reimbursement of sorts for new hire.
So the 20,000 would be, so the offset would still be, the city would still be $13,000 roughly to the good.
okay. Anybody have any questions, concerns about this? Okay, what is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Third item on the agenda is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Hall Public Safety Upfitters. This is also from Public Health and Safety. You want to,
I'll be honest, it has nothing to do with the police department.
oh, this is the police department? Does anybody remember from the committee meeting with?
Yes, this was to fit the new cruisers.
The new cruisers, all the equipment that's needed in those.
Yes, this is basically, there's 6 vehicles. 3 of them were already done, not appropriated last
Appropriated
year.
for, right.
The other 3 need to be appropriated, so that's.
And these are newer vehicles?
And I take that back. The money is appropriated, just approved. The contract's approved because of them being over
Above.
25,000.
Okay. Any questions or comments? What's the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Number 4 on the agenda is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a 2-year contract with Garland Company. This is from Streets and Sidewalks.
Yeah, this is to replace the street department garage roof. It's going to be split up in the 2 years because of the cost.
Questions? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
We'll skip number 5. Number 6 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to appropriate funds and enter into contracts for the new water tank.
This is something that's critically needed. Will be done by the Caldwell Company in Kentucky. The final negotiations are coming to a close in the very near future for this to start. That capacity, if I'm not mistaken, is 750,000 gallons for this new tank. And Mr. Finney, I just have one question. Has the location been designated yet?
Yes, same location.
Okay, thank you.
Questions or concerns about this item?
The bid opening was this past Thursday, and,
Did you go?
yeah. So there's 3 bids, and when we looked at them, was this the lowest one, Bob?
Lowest base bid,
Okay, the lowest base bid.
base bid,
And did we approve the alternates on this?
we have not.
We have not, okay. And what is the plan on that? Not to put in the alternates at all?
We're going to negotiate.
Okay, that's what the negotiation is for. So,
There's one specific item that we think we can negotiate down as part of the base bid,
okay,
remove some of the soil.
okay. Is this the company that had the alternate of 250,000 for the alternate, or the $1 million for the alternate?
The $1 million.
Okay,
alternate.
for the alternate?
We just won't perform it. That's why we write alternates.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anyone else? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Number 7 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into the Spruce Jefferson Water Project contracts. This is also from Utilities, Mr. Moskin.
Yes. As far as Spruce goes, it goes from Maplewood to Diamond, and on Jefferson, from Maine to Spruce. In these areas, it will include all the pipes, the valves, hydrants, where the, everything will be tapped in. It will be completely brand new in those areas. So I'm being optimistic by saying that there'll be no water breaks in these areas for many years to come.
Oh, well, let's write that down.
I said I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm being very optimistic.
Thought you were.
No, I didn't use the word guarantee.
A lot of sidewalk repairs that will be made in these stretches also.
Okay. Any comments or questions about this? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to apply for a CBDG capital improvements grant. Also, Utilities, Mr. Moskin.
Okay, I'm going to have,
The
pardon?
storm, this was for the storm project on Jones.
Okay,
Jones Avenue. From the school almost to
Oakwood?
Oakwood, thank you. Almost to, not quite, but close.
Well, this is just to apply for a grant, pay for it.
Apply for-
so it'll help eliminate a lot of the flooding
Questions, comments? Pleasure of the committee.
Ordinance.
The next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an aggregation agreement with Eastern Power and Gas. This is also utilities, Mr. Moskowitz.
Yes, for the lowest price for anyone that's within the aggregation for Easter Power and Gas. And we'll see what their price is in the very near future. That will be,
I believe you weren't here last week, but we did
Correct.
did you get this?
Pricing sheet?
It says it's what, 384?
3.85.
3085.
Yep. At
Which
this
is lower
point, but
than
that-
our
That
current
could change coming up when we sign the contract in July after we approve the,
It could go down,
could go down, sure.
that's why I was starting to word it like that, because it's not cut and dry yet.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Questions about the aggregation program? Pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Okay, number 10 on the agenda is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a RLF administration agreement. This is from Community and Economic Development.
Yes, this has been discussed for many months. We've been waiting on the state to provide the agreement. They finally did. It's housekeeping, and this is done every other year to enter into an RLF agreement with the state of Ohio in order to continue to utilize and hold our revolving loan funds.
Do we actually have the agreement?
Yeah, it was emailed.
Okay. And then, okay, and if I remember, and now we have to rush it through, right?
Yes, it has to actually be submitted by the 1st of July or 2nd of July.
So, okay. So we'll vote on it on July 1st. Questions about this? This has been long coming, so. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
All right, the last item on the agenda is an ordinance approving the 2025 tax budget. Did you sent that out on
I
Friday, didn't
sent
you?
that out to
Okay.
everybody, yes.
Do you want to go over any of it?
Just a quick, this will be the budget that will, for 2025, that will be the temporary budget effective 1/1/2025. Basically, a lot of similar in the revenues side of things. A couple highlights on the appropriations. We did put back in the spring cleanup for 2025 because we plan on trying to do that again. We have the last year of our negotiated contracts. We have some payroll increases in the operating lines. We have some 553 capital fund projects that we're looking forward to. We kind of are starting to look at a 5-year projected plan, trying to get everybody to share that 553 fund and make it healthy for everybody. We have the street department, we're looking at a loader and an asphalt box, and the police have some police cars and upfittings. We're also looking at a reserve kind of for the fire department going forward, so they have a little reserve going for each year so they can work up to buying bigger pieces of equipment. We also, in the water fund, have some electrical upgrades that they had talked about at council, Amy and Kevin had talked about, and we're hoping to continue and do those next year too. And one big thing, we have the water waste plant, their expansion debt payments are coming off at the end of this year, so that is a big reduction in the appropriation side for this year too. Other than that, right now, if you have any other specific questions, please feel free to look it over, email me. I'll be free to answer.
So in our discussions, a couple of things. So yes, we will be, in this budget, allocating $60,000 for the cleanup.
Yes,
The question isn't so much the amount, because that's probably about what we've been paying. The question is whether we can find somebody to do it, because in the past, we've only been able to get one business, or local business, Conrad's, to do it, and they no longer, they're out of business, they were bought by another company. So that would be the question, not that we don't have the money, but whether somebody's willing to do the work. And then so you briefly went over this additional set aside for a new fire engine, and I believe this was a request from the chief at $150,000.
yes.
And pricing them can be a bit of a heart attack for people when you,
Mark, maybe-
when you see the variability of how much you could spend on a new engine.
So the truck today is almost $800,000. So what we're trying to do is build a fund, so if it takes 2 to 3 years to buy or to build, we can have a nest egg already started, and then another 2 to 3 years before the truck is completed, so that we can actually pay for the vehicle versus try to come up with almost a little over $1 million for it as we stand today.
Do you have like a schedule of when you replace your engines, or there's certain factors like things going wrong or breaking down affect when you buy? Oh,
20 years for the amount of calls and whatnot that we use is probably the longevity of a piece of apparatus. Our ladder truck is a 2000, but it's actually in really great shape. And to replace that, you're looking over $2 million as we speak today. Where I feel that our backup engine is a 94. So it's pretty old. So if we ever run into issues with our current engine, we either have to run the ladder truck or an engine that's almost pushing 30 years old. Well, it is pushing 30.
yeah,
So,
it's there.
but, so we would like to try to get that backup engine replaced with a new front line, and then the engine that we have currently would be our spare. My goal is, this is just my opinion, I share it with the guys, who, I talk with the captains, and obviously I don't know, if we're talking 5 years, I want everybody to be on the same page with me, because I don't want to put something in place that I may not even be here for. But I would try to put something in order, a smaller ladder truck, what we call a Quint, so it's a little bit shorter, still has a good reach of 75 feet. The tallest building we have is a Prospect House, so it still would accommodate almost everything that we would need in our city, but it's about $800,000 cheaper than replacing our dual axle ladder truck that we have today.
Okay.
And we can run it as a frontline engine. It's still small enough where we can get it through the city streets, back alleys and whatnot. It still has a ladder and a bucket on it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? And it's always prudent if we can stock away some money, and this is money coming from our income tax
Correct.
that, we pass
That's-
for our
Yeah,
safety
that's the main
forces.
source of
Yeah.
income into the 553.
Okay. The only other comment I
I'm
wanted.
sorry,
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Chris.
Yeah.
It is a discussion that I think should probably take place. I think that we would probably need a little bit more analysis than the perfunctory discussion that we've had here in the last couple of minutes regarding nearly $1 million expenditure. And I'd like to get a look at some of these years and times and how many times we're using the second truck, those types of things. Not against it, just would like more information on it.
Yeah. So, Chief, is that something you can provide? Not by next week or anything, but, I mean, this is a long-term plan, and I think what Dr. Calfee's indicating, which I think I agree with, is it would be helpful to have, that's why I asked about what your methodology was for replacing a vehicle. If we had a little more data to support when it's time to replace something, what you're, I mean, you explained it, but it'd be nice to have it written out in some fashion. So when it does come time, and it may not be for years, to replace an engine, we have all that in front of us and we know exactly what to do. Okay, thank you. The only other thing I wanted to mention, you mentioned that the expansion of the debt payments for the water facility would go away, but we just hired CT Consultants
Yes.
to do an analysis, which could end up with a $15 million expenditure over, so we may just be,
In the few years to come, yes,
Yeah.
we may be putting out another.
And what was that annual payment that just got eliminated this year?
The last payment was $923,000.
$900,000, yeah.
We do get reimbursed from the county for part of that.
Okay.
So
A major part of it, or
about almost half of it.
almost
that
half?
we
So
end up
about
four-
500,000
yes.
is freed up?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
correct.
okay, those were my only comments about our budget commission meeting on Friday. Does Does anybody have any questions about the tax budget? You all now have it with you. So what's the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Okay. That concludes our agenda for tonight. I just wanted to mention that we will be having a special meeting a week from tonight. The announcement hasn't gone out yet, right? But the basic agenda will be a discussion, a work session. So we're not going to act on anything. So members of the public are certainly welcome to come, but we will not be passing any ordinance or resolutions or doing any other kind of action. I view this as a work session with members of council and the administration to go over, in this case, how we do our business on council. So for example, the agenda will include what our regular meeting agenda looks like. It's in our code of ordinances, what the agenda is spelled out to be. So that's going to be part of our discussion if we want to make changes to the agenda itself. Parts of that include how we handle delegations, how we handle public remarks in general, and that might also spill over to our committee meetings, not just our regular meetings. I also want to have a discussion about the possibility of including a consent agenda, which would make it more efficient when we do have our regular meetings to pass some things in a batch, so we don't have to do them individually. That comes with some complications. We'll have to talk about that. There are some rules, you know, when we vote on something, when we amend something, what takes precedence, when we make a motion. They're actually in our ordinance, if you want to check them out. It's 2020.11. And the backup to that is if none of the things in there apply, we default to Robert's Rule of Order. And then there's just some cleanup stuff that I've noticed, and if any of you want to, I think I mentioned this before, want to peruse the big book and see what else regarding how we handle our meetings might be out of sync, feel free to do so. That's pretty much the extent of this meeting, and we'll have future meetings this summer about other kind of topics like this. So be thinking about how we conduct our meetings, how we can make them more efficient, more effective when we head into the meeting on Monday. I'm not looking for public a comment on next Monday's meeting, but what I'm committed to doing is if there are any changes to our ordinances resulting from any of these work sessions, we will have a public meeting at that time to solicit public comment. So next week will be a work session. We'll start at our usual time, and I promise not to keep you here all night. So we'll do it as quickly as we can. All right, anything else for the order, good of the order? Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
How was vacation? It's too short.
Well, it was a work vacation.
Oh,
Helping a friend rebuild her house.
I was